Welcome back to the Fly Up Her podcast. I'm your host, Maya.
And I'm Maitana, and we're so happy that you're here for yet another episode.
Today's guest, at just 20 years old, she's a newly qualified pilot, fresh out of Skyborne Airline Academy, and waiting on a type rating for EasyJet, hoping to start in December.
Welcome, Elizabeth. We're so happy that you're here to have you here with us.
Yeah, it's really nice to be here.
Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. So please take a moment to introduce yourself, tell everyone who you are, and your journey to the cockpit.
Yeah, so I'm Elizabeth. I'm currently 20 years old. I initially wanted to become a pilot since I was about 6. I got on my first aircraft. It was an A380 on a trip from India to the UK. My mum was already in the UK, so I was joining her here, so I travelled with my dad. And my dad still likes to remind me that I was sat in the aircraft and I looked at my dad and I said I wanted to be a plane driver. So ever since then, he's always kind of supported me. And as I got older, he just kind of nurtured the idea of becoming a pilot. So even for dress up days in school, I would dress up as air ambulance because I wasn't really sure at that point that where in the aviation industry I wanted to go into. I just knew I wanted to fly an aircraft. And then as I got older, he took me to Pilot Careers Lives and seminars, and that really introduced me to the idea of going integrated or modular. And so I started my modular journey. So I started a PPL, but then I decided actually integrated was for me as COVID hit, and that kind of stopped all aviation traffic. So I kind of decided that I'd like to go integrated. It was a bit more structured. Structure was something I quite like, and it was just a better suit for me. So during A levels, I looked into going to different places like Elsie Harris or CAE or obviously Skyborne. Ended up going for an open day with Skyborne in July 2023, and actually started Skyborne in October 2023. Yeah, it was pretty quick from just finishing A levels. I actually got my A level results on the same day as I had my Skyborne interview.
Wow.
It was quite fun. But yeah, that's a really quick journey. Always knew this was something I wanted to do. I was just quite lucky that I had parents who started saving up when they were quite young.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it.
Wow.
Oh,
I want to ask you, so you said that you started off from the modular route. How did you go from the modular to integrated? So, 'cause I know that some flight schools that do just integrated, they make you pay for the full price.
Yeah, so I think I was about 14 when I started PPL. I didn't actually do quite a lot of flying. I just had, I think it was a total of about 9 hours. Obviously the weather in the UK is interesting. So getting started was finding the right days to do the flying was the hardest part. Besides the funding, obviously. So I started with a place called Arrows. They were absolutely lovely. But as I got on and I realised I had to actually kind of structure all of it by myself, I kind of had to talk with them and said, actually, this is probably not the right route for me. That was fine. And then I kind of had a talk with Will Hulse at Skyborne, and he was very happy to accommodate any questions that I had. And it was quite an easy transition, to be honest. I had about 2 years where I actually didn't do any flying at all. That was just because I kind of knew I should just focus on my A levels and get that done and do it fully during that integrated period. Yeah.
cool. So how come you decided to go straight to flight school from sixth form? How come you decided not to go to university, or you want to go straight into it? Why was that?
So actually, during school, my teachers were quite pushing me to go towards uni. I knew uni wasn't the right place for me. I had talked to quite a few pilots, and they had said they didn't actually do uni. They'd done courses like Speedbird or going through schools like Elsie Harris. So I knew I didn't actually need uni, and my mum was talking to me, and she was like, "It's probably not the right route if you're trying to save money at the same time." And because there were things like the integrated course out there, I knew that I could actually do a uni degree alongside it. So at the moment, I'm also doing a uni degree with the University of West London.
Oh, nice.
that's something that Skyborne have integrated into the course, so they have a deal with them. So you don't actually do any of the degree until you've finished all of your ground school exams. So for me, that worked out really well, and it's worked out really well for my peers as well. It's just easier to have your ground school exams be part of your uni work, and it makes a lot more sense to do it like that than to go to uni, do 3 years of uni, and then do 1 year of ground school and flying, and then come back to uni and then get a job. It just felt more easy to do it this way. So I was very, very happy that Skywon offered a way of getting a uni degree at the same time. So if my medical did go for any reason, then I'd have something to fall back on. That's mostly why I didn't go to uni and went straight into an integrated course.
Obviously, being able to achieve this at a very young age is completely inspiring. Being only 20 years old and already having your ATPL is absolutely amazing.
Honestly.
Congratulations again. How does that feel, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced along the way?
So I think it feels pretty cool. Obviously, the ATPL is still frozen, so I'll have to gain my 1,500 hours before that becomes unfrozen and I can really do anything. But I think it's really awesome. I think I've got so many people. There's actually surprisingly so many people my age that are doing it at Skyborne or are doing it at other flight schools like CAE, which I think is actually quite amazing considering there's been such a big demographic shift. So now people are going to the flight deck and now we're all younger and they're like, I don't know if I'm getting older or if you guys are just getting younger. So it's quite funny in that sense. But yeah, it's pretty cool. But I think one of the biggest challenges I faced while starting it was actually ground school itself. But I also think that one of the other challenges was the fact that I was one of the only girls in my class. It's gotten so much better lately. And I'm so grateful that it has. I've met so many other women out there that are absolutely amazing and are crushing it on flight school. But when I first started, I struggled with ground school, but I also struggled with the fact that there was only 3 girls in the whole school, which is kind of insane when you think about it. But it's that lack of feeling like it's the feeling of being alone, if that kind of makes sense. That kind of puts you down a bit because you're out there thinking, oh, these guys seem to know a lot more about the industry than I do, and it's that self-doubt that comes with it. But during ground school, I think I struggled because of that self-doubt more than anything else. The content itself is actually not bad at all. It's just that lack of time that you have, that time constraint in ground school is absolutely insane. 6 months to do 13 exams is crazy. But and all that anxiety that comes with just being by yourself is quite lonely, if that makes any sense. But then you find people. So I found one of my closest friends, Laura, and she's been absolutely amazing. And you just find people that support you the whole way through, which really, really is what makes a flight school, in my opinion. And it really makes your training as good as it possibly can be when you're sharing it with people that are thinking the same as you, that are feeling the same as you, that are supporting you even when you're feeling a lot down, because it's quite intense. The flying itself is great, but you have days where you're thinking, I can't fly this plane, and you've got friends that are telling you that you can and you've done it before, and it's a nice community and a family to be around, I think. I think that's the only way I overcame that struggle at ground school, was surrounding myself with people that were feeling the same as me, but also just kind of helping me through. But definitely ground school was the most challenging.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. That
Yeah.
it's a lot of content in a short space of time. I think that's where she lies. So yeah.
It's insane.
So what resources would you suggest to kind of get through that? The best things to do, to put into practice in ground school to help with the kind of how the content is so overwhelming because it's in such a short space of time. How can you get over that and get through it?
So I think if there was 3 things that I would tell someone who is starting ground school, it probably is use your instructors. I think that first month or 2 that I struggled, I wasn't really using my instructors to the best of my ability, I'd say. They were more than willing to sit with us and stay behind and help us through their breaks, and they're there to help. But you need to be able to utilize that, and that's the only way you'll get through it. I've had instructors sit with me, they've watched me and my friends cry over ground school, but we've come out of it at the end and we've passed all of these exams and we've done really well. So it's all about utilizing them as much as you can, obviously not by annoying them, but if they're willing to help, then use that and, you know, use them to pass your exams, because that's what they're there for. That's what their years of experience that they're teaching you is for. So definitely using your instructors. I think the second one everyone likes to say, but none of the flight school likes saying it, which is completely fair. The bank. There's a bank of questions which everyone knows about and everyone uses, and nobody can tell me that you don't use it, because everyone does. There was people who were memorizing the bank, which is fine. If that works for you, then that works for you. But I don't think it actually helps in your future exams, your flying exams. While you do most of your learning during the flying, that ground school gives you a good base. Memorizing the bank can help. So I can say that I haven't, but that would be a lie. I have. There are some questions that you just have to memorize, and that's fine. But I think the key to it is also trying to understand the content to the best of your ability, because it is quite hard, and you've got to get those fundamentals in your head. But so it's definitely finding the right balance of banking to pass your exams, but at the same time also understanding the content so that when you get to the flying bit, you're not struggling. Obviously, if you struggle, you can't really help it, but it's a good thing to try and understand the content, I'd say, rather than just the bank. The bank will help you pass the exams, the ground school exams, but I don't think the bank will help you pass the flying exams. So that's the second thing. So use the bank, but also try find that balance of understanding the content as well. And then the last one, I think, is probably that work-life balance. I would say over the whole of this course, I've really grown as a person, but I've also learned how to find the right balance of going outside and doing stuff with my friends, and also studying. You can ask my friends and they'll probably tell you that I study a lot, which is true. But I think it was after I met my closest friends that I realised that actually it's all about finding that right balance. It's all about going for walks. It's all about seeing your friends while also finding that time to study. So yeah, study and hardcore do it. But at the same time, it's also, you can't just be shut in your room the whole time. You've got to go outside. You've got to see that outside, or as people would say, grass these days.
Yeah, you do.
It's just, it really does help, and it makes the world load of a difference. And I think that really, it's easier to be outside and not think about stuff than sitting in your room studying for hours on end, and then you're just kind of lost because you're still not getting it. Whereas if you go outside and you still don't get it, that's fine, because you're still outside and you're getting some fresh air. So I think working out that work-life balance is a key to getting to ground school. That's a lot of things.
That's such brilliant advice. Honestly, thank you so much for sharing that, Elizabeth. And it leads perfectly on to our next question. Now, we know that flight school is very intense, and you had a lot of early mornings and a lot of late nights. So how has this impacted your daily routine and your social life?
I would say during IR, I practically had no social life, but I would try go out every week. I think we came up with this thing in ground school where every week or every other week we'd always try to go outside. We'd try to do something fun, whether that just means going for a walk or going to get food out with the whole CP, which was quite fun, or even getting drinks if that's what people were into. Just that element of getting together at the end of the week just to wind down, maybe on a Friday night or a Saturday night, and then wake up the next morning and start studying again. But it's that key of meeting up with everyone, having one evening off where you're just kind of relaxing, so you're reset for the next week or the next day, and then maybe going for a walk once a day, just around 4, watching a sunset, and then coming back and studying. Because I can't lie, the study is a lot. You have to do it. There's no way around doing hours and hours of studying, but it's just a case of trying to find that balance. So during ground school, I'd say it was a walk a day, or walk every 2 days, a nice walk, or even during our lunch breaks, me and my friends would just go on a walk up and down the road, something to just get outside and get some fresh air. And then maybe once a week or every week, or maybe even a month, going out and do something with the whole class and getting together so that everyone's still connected. So that was probably ground school. And then when I went to Florida to do my CPL, it was a lot easier, so we had a lot more free time. It was just a case of flying 3 or 4 times a week. We had no cars, so cycling was our one way to go. So we cycled everywhere. We cycled to the beach, we cycled to Duncan. Yeah, I think we cycled once to Duncan. And Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A was our favourite in America. So if you're out there, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A was absolutely amazing. So we'd do little trips that would kind of help us wind down after a flight. Or watch a movie, actually. I think most nights, because all of us were away from family, we'd actually just have movie nights. So we'd all grab a pot of ice cream and then go down to the boys, or the boys would come down up to us, and we'd just have a really nice movie night. And yeah, it'd just be really fun. And then I think once or twice we'd go out of state. Well, once out of state, we went to New York for Thanksgiving. We got really lucky.
Wow, that's lovely.
Yeah, yeah. We got really lucky that Skyborne were closed for 3 days. They love their Thanksgiving over there, so we had about 3 days to go up to New York, which was quite nice. Charlie D'Amelio was there, but we were the only ones that recognised her. I think me and my friend Laura were the only people cheering in that crowd. But yeah, no, amazing. It was really fun. So taking that time off from flying for a couple of days was so nice, because you just weren't worried about the flying, which is a rarity, because with scheduling you're like, oh, am I going to be booked in tomorrow? Am I not going to be booked in tomorrow? So it was kind of nice to know that you had those 3 days off. I think we went down to a rodeo for an evening, which was nice. Flew the next day. So it's all about finding that balance. I had a really great instructor, Devin, absolutely amazing. I think before we left, he took us for what was it called? Chili's? I think it was amazing. I don't know what it was, but it was great. So I think it's just it's that case of just surrounding yourself with the right people. Yeah, so social life is easier once you finish ground school, definitely. And then IR, it gets a bit more intense because you're back in the UK and they like to do everything properly. But even then, we were really, really good. We had evenings where we'd try and meet up, or if we couldn't, then we'd go for walks together, something to just keep us all a bit connected. Yeah, and then to be fair, still now after our graduation, we've seen each other. We've one of our friends has recently started renting a house with his girlfriend, which is really sweet. Went and saw him. It was nice to catch up. So it's all about just keeping those connections alive the whole way through, to be honest. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, honestly. Honestly,
I was gonna ask. Sorry, Maya. I was gonna ask. Obviously, moving out of your house at a young age and then moving to Florida, how was that for you? How did it feel, especially moving to Florida as well and being there for some time? How did it feel for you? What was the experience like? What's it like being in America, first of all? And also, do you get a visa? Okay.
Yeah. So moving out of my house at 18 was kind of insane. I remember just being left in my room and mum being like, okay, bye. And I was like, oh, okay, this is how it works then. I think it was quite nice. I think I've had a lovely experience living out of my house so far. It's nice to be back, but I loved having the independence of just, I mean, I was a COVID child, so as I'm pretty sure all of us were, we were just sat in our rooms the whole time and wasn't quite nice. So I liked having my independence of my own room where I was just surrounded by people my age. It was quite nice. That doesn't mean I didn't miss home. I did. When times were stressful, I think on the second day I was so overwhelmed with how much stuff I had that I was calling my mum and I was like, take me back. But no, perseverance. I think the key to it is also bringing loads of photos, which is what I did for Florida. So when I went out to Florida, I had loads and loads of photos from home. I'd call my friends, I'd call my family, and it'd just be nice to hear their voice again, even if it was from like 4,000 miles away. But I think the one thing that did make my whole Florida experience easier was, again, the friends. I have really, really amazing friends, and even when we were all getting homesick, we'd all just be there for each other. Me and my friend Laura, you've met Laura and Maya, absolutely amazing. We lived in the same apartment, so we were close. We were practically as close as sisters are, which is absolutely amazing. And I was unfortunate enough that I didn't actually have my parents coming out, but they all had their parents come out, and it was lovely. I was so lucky that they all actually let me spend a day with them, which was quite nice. So I still had that family feel, even though my family weren't actually out there. But yeah, moving to Florida. Florida was absolutely amazing. Like, that was like the best 7 months of my life. It was absolutely incredible. I have got such amazing photos from the air. I have made friends out there for a lifetime. I still talk to my instructor. He's absolutely amazing. And honestly, it was great. It was so sunny. Although it did get chilly sometimes, so I've had to buy jumpers out there, and I was a bit confused. So I was like, I didn't realise I'd need jumpers out in Florida. But absolutely amazing. The one criticism that I have to say about Florida is that while they do attempt a good Christmas, it should not be warm during Christmas. I should not be able to sit in a t-shirt outside watching Home Alone on they have you can sit in at sit in cinemas or something. I sat in a t-shirt. I was like, this doesn't feel right because Kevin's wearing a scarf and I'm not wearing a scarf, and this does not feel right. But Florida itself, absolutely amazing. Definitely recommend the rodeos. That was cool. I kept getting called ma'am, and I was like, yeah. But the flying is so beautiful because it's so sunny. The sea's right next to you, and you're just in awe of your surroundings. And the lightning strike, pretty cool. The thunderstorms, it would be clockwork. It was like Hunger Games, clockwork, 4 o'clock thunderstorms, and I was like, this is great. It's amazing. But the flying definitely was absolutely amazing. You'd be flying with your friends. One of my friends, Philip, was actually in front of me during my cross country, and one of my other friends, Alex, was actually in an aircraft behind me, and we were just there all on our way to the other side of Florida, and it was just, yeah, it was amazing. Got loads of photos, but I think my favourite flight was to a place called Sebring, and it's got a lovely approach. It's got a lake as you come into the airport, which is lovely. And it was just me and this little yellow aircraft in circuit. We were just talking to each other, going, "Yeah, I'm on downwind," and he'd be like, "Oh well, I'm on final," and then it'd be so lovely. And Sebring has I think it's called a race. Yeah, it's got a racetrack. I was going to say a speedway, but I think it's a racing track, and you can see the little cars go around and around as you're in circuit, which is probably what you should not be looking at. But it was cool anyway. But yeah, that was probably my favorite flight out of Florida. Florida's just amazing. Definitely going back. We'll be doing the Florida Keys.
Well, actually, I want to actually do Skyborne now, to be honest.
Literally, you sold it up. You sold it to us. It sounded like you had such an amazing experience.
It was absolutely amazing. If I could go back and do those 7 months again, I absolutely would.
You sold it. Honestly, you sold it. Now we know that going to flight school can be a huge financial investment, and this is a barrier to many aspiring pilots. So how did you manage to fund your pilot training?
As I said, I got very lucky with my dad. So ever since I said the plane driver thing, my dad has been saving up, which I thought was quite lucky of me. There were times in my life when my parents were actually working 2 jobs. So my mum and dad would work the day shift, and then my mum would work the night shift. Yeah, so my dad would work the day shift, mum would work the night shift, and they'd both be alternating. And then the time I was in school, my mum would actually be doing another job in the morning. So finding it, I think, was quite tricky. But then we moved from London to a place called Gloucestershire, which is where Skyborne is actually. And they've bought a shop, which has been really successful. I helped out where I could, so they weren't hesitant to give me money for flight school because they knew I was doing my best to help out. So I think I was in a really lucky position where I knew what I was doing from a young age, and my parents were kind of ready for it, if that makes sense. Which I know isn't what other people have going on in their lives. They probably figure out. I mean, it could be younger, and they just don't have the facilities to get that amount of money. But I think the one thing that really helped was the university. So I'm currently using the maintenance loan as my maintenance loan for Skyborne. So if you do the uni course with Skyborne with West London, they'll give you a maintenance loan starting from when you start Skyborne, which I think is quite good, even though you don't start the work until you get out to Florida. So I use that loan as my maintenance loan for food. accommodation is already included with the Skyborne price. So the only things I would use that money for was fuel, food, clothes if I needed clothes, and that was it really. And then the deal that Skyborne have with the University of West London means that I would get £8,000 of my tuition back each year. So I'm actually only paying the 3,000 instead of the whole 11,000. And because I'm doing that, I get £8,000 back a year. So the £8,000 that I got back this year, I'll actually be using towards my type rating in December. Funding it isn't the easiest. I got lucky. I know I have friends who have remortgaged houses. They've borrowed from people. They've got sponsors. So there are ways to go about it if you're going the sponsored way. But there's other ways. So BA have obviously got Speedbird, which is absolutely amazing. And every time I go anywhere like PCL or even do an open day at Skyborne, I'm always telling people, if you can go any other way than paying the full price, I would do it that way. I would apply to every single Speedbird course, every Jet2 flight pass program there is out there, or 2 EMPLs. Anything is worth a try if it means you don't have to pay the whole price. Because at the end of the day, you can get rejected by all of them, and there's still the option of just paying the whole amount, or saving up and then paying the whole amount. There are people who are 30 years old, there are people who are 40 years old. It doesn't really matter what age you do it. It's just a case of just doing it. So I would say if you can get on any of those programs, that is your best bet, because you have a job at the end of it. There is job security. It's good. That's what I recommend. But when I first started, I didn't have that option of BA. Speedbird got announced about 2 months after I started. So it wasn't really an option for me in the beginning, but that's fine. I was lucky. I didn't need it, but there are people out there who really can't afford this, and that would be a really great option for them, and I'm really glad they're doing stuff like that. But yeah, that's what I would say. I would say go and try and apply for all of these scholarships. You can get rejected by all of them. You can reapply again. It doesn't matter. Or you might be lucky and you get accepted by 1 out of the 10 that you've applied to, or the 3 that you've applied to, and that's probably your luckiest day. But yeah, for funding, that's probably the best way to go. I just got lucky.
Yeah. I'm so lucky all my days. Because
I know.
like, when I do talk to people about what I want to be in the future, most of them tell me that they want to be pilots as well, but because of how much it costs, they just stop there and they go into different career paths. So yeah, definitely a difficult one.
Yeah. I think there's been so many people that I've met lately that have been on the Speedbird course or have done the integrated way who have actually saved up since they were 20. So it's never actually too late. Obviously, you have to retire when you're around 65, but there are people that are starting out 40. There's actually been people who have just done the ATPL because they can just afford it, and that's just something they want to do, which baffles me. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's what you like, then that's what you like. But I don't think age is a factor that stops you from going into the industry or doing this course. So even if you were to save up for a couple of years and then come back to it, it's still worth doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Amazing. And it's so cool to hear how supportive your parents were with
Mhm.
that you had, that they realized this is what you wanted to do, and they actually really helped you in achieving that. I think that's really incredible. And it just reminds us how important it is to have a supportive network and supportive parents. So yeah, it's really cool.
Definitely. Yeah, supportive friends, supportive family, 2 of the things that get you through flight school.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
So yeah, now that you've completed your ATPLs, when you look back at your training journey, what's one thing you wish that you could tell yourself on day 1?
Oh, probably not to stress so much. I think one of the unfortunate things about being young is that you actually have a lot of self-doubt. You've not been out there, you've not done all the stuff out there. You've got people coming in that are quite confident. They've done this, they've done that, they've achieved this, they've achieved other stuff, they've got masters, or they just look really smart, and they are really smart. They're amazing people. But when you start comparing yourself to them, you're sat there thinking, I don't think I can finish this course. But you can, because I struggled, but I still got here, which still baffles me to today. But definitely on that first day, and what I've been told the whole time is just not to stress. You could fail an exam, you can retake the exam, you can get through it. It's the same with flying exams. There are people who have really struggled with flying, who have now gotten amazing jobs, who have started jobs, who are doing amazingly well. So it's never, this is going to sound really corny, but what is it? What's the quote? It's not the journey, it's the destination? Or is
Yes.
it the journey, not the destination? One of those.
It's not the destination, it's the journey, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. It still applies because when you think about it, I think this whole journey of actually struggling. So I struggled in ground school. I had to retake a couple of exams. But that's fine because I redid it, passed it, and I did well. And then I got into flying, and my instructor diagnosed me with was it check ride stress or check ride anxiety, because I would be stressing over these exams. And he'd be like, "It's fine, you're gonna be fine," and I'd be like, "No, I'm not gonna be fine." But I think after each exam that I did, it actually builds your confidence. I think the course is laid out in such a way that you actually gain more confidence. So ground school first exams, you're struggling, and that's fine because this is your first time you're doing anything remotely like this. You've never done 13 exams in 6 months. It's been quite structured, and GCSEs were lovely and A-levels were lovely. But this course is intense, but they've laid it out well. So ground school, first couple of exams, you'll struggle, but that's fine. If you struggle, that's fine. If you don't, great. Then you get to the second set, you start getting into a rhythm, you know what you're doing, you know how to structure your days, you know how to revise, and it gets better. And then you get to mod 3, and you have your last 3 exams, and while you are very done and very at the end of it all, you just power through and you get that done. And then you go have your first flying exam. That's terrifying because you've never done a flying exam before. The most practical exam you've ever done is your driving test. And that's fine. So you get through that test and you're thinking, oh, okay, maybe I can actually do this. And then you come back to the UK and you have your MEP test. And while you are very nervous and you are very stressed, you do pass it and you go, oh, actually, I can actually do this. And you keep doing it and then you get to your IR and you're thinking, okay, I've done this twice before. I know I can do it because I've done it twice before. So this time it should be easier and I should be less stressed. While you may not be less stressed, you will be able to. So the whole course is laid out in a way where every step you're gaining a bit of confidence. And at the end of it, when you're doing your MCC, it all clicks and it all works and you're happy that you're just done with it all. But I think, yeah, the whole course it's not just a course of learning to be a pilot. I think it's, if you're young and you're still kind of finding yourself, it's a course that's also finding who you are, I think. For me, at least for me, it genuinely, like, the maturity I've gained over these 18 months have been amazing. I would like to think that I'm still the same person on the inside from 2 years ago, but I think I've definitely matured and gained a lot of insight from everyone that I've talked to, from all the events that I've been to, and just the course and the course mates in general.
Wow. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. That is such a thorough breakdown of everything, honestly.
Yeah, literally, it's very. I love the way that you go into detail about it.
It's very much.
I thought it was yapping.
We learned everything from start to finish, your journey, flight school, everything. That was amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I was gonna ask. I don't know if it's very common, but when I fly, I tend to get like a little bit sick. Did that happen to any of your classmates, and how did they deal with it?
Sick as in you feel sick or you're actually sick?
Like I feel sick, like nauseous.
Oh, okay. Chewing gum. So actually, I didn't think I was a nauseous person. How many have you got a PPL or are you? No, just flying here and there.
Just flying with the air cadets.
Oh, okay. Oh, I did air cadets as well. So I think when we get flying partners out in Florida, so you're with somebody else for some of your training, and then if you decide you don't want to be part of that, that's fine. You can do it separately as well. So when I was backseating my partner Phil, he's really good. He's so much better than me, but he's really good. It wasn't his flight. It wasn't anything to do with his flying. His flying was really, really smooth and it was amazing. I just didn't like sitting in the back and I would get nauseous. So the one thing that I found actually really helps is chewing gum. So to be fair, even when I go up flying, so do my UPRT with Shoreham or FPT at Shoreham, I did feel a bit nauseous. But the one thing that got me through was probably chewing gum. Anti-sickness medication just makes me drowsy, and I do not recommend it because it's not good, and it probably doesn't help when you're supposed to be flying every day.
Yeah.
But if chewing gum was a medication, it's probably the best thing. Does that kind of make sense? I wouldn't take normal medication. I would try it. I would, the next time you go flying, try chewing gum, because I think it's just subconscious. I think it probably just takes your brain off the fact that you are actually flying. I don't know what it is. I just know it works, or it worked for me. So it might work for you. I'm hoping it works for you. But all aircraft that you go into to fly at Skyborne will have a sickness bag, just in case. It happened. It's not like it's never happened before. I had a friend who was sick on one of her first flights. All over the instruments. I did feel bad for her, but it's one of those things that happens. And if it happens, then it happens, and that's fine. Ways around it. So there's obviously medication. I think they're also doing therapy for it as well, just in case it is just a mental thing. Possibly. Can't be 100% sure of it. I think I just saw it somewhere. Because I know for some people it's the mental factor. So it could be, therapy would be an option, but I think for you probably chewing gum might work. If you're anything like me and it's just nausea, then I think it's probably chewing gum. If you just keep chewing it, it does the job.
Thank you for your advice. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for sharing your story with us. It's been a pleasure having you on today's episode.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been absolutely amazing. I don't know if everything I've said has made sense, because I feel like I'm waffling the whole time, but it's been absolutely lovely being here with you guys.
No, you've totally made sense. All your advice and everything you've said, your insight, your experiences, it has been so valuable, and we are so appreciative. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is it for today. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Fly With Her podcast.
Don't forget to tune in, take off, and fly with her.
See you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.